coming to get you, Barbara.
I am Dracula.
Red rum! Red rum!
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
Dinosaur ain't no dinosaur. This is Darnish Horror Month.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Do you believe in destiny? That even the powers of time can be altered for a single purpose? That the luckiest man who walks this earth is the one who finds true love?
Hello and welcome to Film Church Radio. This is the podcast that treats cinema as a religion. It's Sunday, I'm Lewis.
And I'm Brandon.
And we are here to talk about movies. Each week, Brandon and I alternate picking a film for us both to watch and discuss. This week, to kick off our Darnish Horror Month, I picked the first of our ghoulish offerings with a film I've been wanting to see for a while. It celebrated its 30th anniversary last year, and it is Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, and starring Gray Oldman, Keanu Reeves, and Winona Ryder. If you want to know what we're going to be watching next week, stick around for the end of the show. Brandon will be telling us, and it will be something horror-related, as we are in October, and we do all things spooky around that time here at the Film Church Radio Towers. Before we talk about any kind of film, though, we just want to say thank you to everyone who's been listening to the show. We really appreciate it. We're on episode 96 right now, getting closer and closer to episode 100, which is crazy. So that means there's 95 other episodes that are available for you to listen to right now. We've talked about a lot of different films from a lot of different time periods, countries, people, all that kind of stuff. So go and check it out if you can. Share it with your friends. Follow us on social medias at Film Church Radio and tell us what you think to certain movies. We love to know. We've also got stuff on YouTube as well, so you can go and check that out also. But we want to know what you've been watching too. So tell us about that. What have you been watching? What would you recommend? Always looking to add things to our watch list. Now, before we get into the main sermon, what we do here is we like to talk about other films we've watched, and we call it our hymn section, where we sing the praises of the other films we've watched. It's a bit of a reach, but it kind of works. So just come along with it. It's whimsical. Brandon, we've watched one film the same this week.
Oh.
So let's, if you want to go first, if you want to keep that for seconds, then we can kind of talk about it a little bit and then merge it seamlessly into my films that I've watched this week.
Sounds good.
So what else have you been watching?
Yeah, I got my Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse Blu-ray, well, nice. 4K Steelbook in the mail this week, and decided to watch it, and it was good. Yeah. Probably I guess that's my fourth time to watch it, because I saw it I think 3 times in the cinema. Yeah. The Steelbook is pretty cool, and I went ahead and bought the reprint of the first one as well.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But for some reason, the reprint didn't have, it was the Blu-ray and the DVD. It wasn't the 4K. So I just took out the Blu-ray and the DVD and then put in my 4K copy into the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just replace it.
That makes sense.
It is they're both really cool cases, though. I also didn't realize, or I guess I did, but I just keep forgetting. But on the case, on the poster, the Across the Spider-Verse poster with all the different spider people. Yeah. Bagman is on there. Which is great because I made a movie called Bagman based on, the Bagman from Spider-Man when I was a kid. So just and it was a huge project. It was took me years to make this 20-minute short. But I don't know, just something about seeing Bagman on the big screen is bruh, there he is.
Yeah. I know that when we did our Across the Spider-Verse episode, we didn't mention Bagman. And I can remember afterwards you texted me being we didn't talk about Bagman.
I know. It's bruh. He's in there quite a bit. I mean,
yeah.
I say he's in there quite a bit. He's in quite a few shots,
Yeah, no lines.
You know, but it's like quick.
Yeah.
It's always quick. Yeah, really cool. But yeah, I think I might have taken my score up to 5. It might still be 4.5. I don't know. Like the movie is super super good. Love it.
Yeah.
It does. There is so much setup.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a sequel. But I get that it's like it's not really. I mean, it is a sequel, but it's like setting up the next one.
Yeah.
It's just so much setup.
Yeah.
And I think that gets a little. I mean, it's all fun, but I think I'm just nitpicking.
Yeah, the rewatchability, I guess, on stuff like that is kind of diminishes, doesn't it? The action stuff is kind of what you know, the fast moving and spotting things in the background, and yeah, the first hour is just setting up.
Set up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I will say the ending of the movie. Well, the train sequence going into space in Nueva York is absolutely incredible. You know, running from all the spider people.
Yeah.
And then the moment, you know, where he's like, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. Like, I don't know, for some reason that meant a lot more to me this time.
Yeah.
And then the ending when he spoilers when you realize that he's not in his dimension.
Yeah.
And he's, you know, this isn't technically his mom from his dimension. The way that whole scene is sequenced and edited and paced is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely incredible. The way that they executed that is genius.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love it. And I think that probably takes it to 5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah. Yeah. There's another. It's very kind of Silence of the Lambs in that. Do you know the ending of Silence of the Lambs where she kind of goes to the house and
it's been a while.
Yeah, and there's the kind of FBI are going to do a raid, and it kind of, you know, cuts between the two, and you think they're going to the same place, and then you realise that they're at a different house.
Okay.
And she's there alone, and that is very like, you know, the same kind of thing where you're led to believe one thing as an audience member, and then it's like completely pulled out from underneath you, you know.
Right. Yeah. It's so. I don't know. It's so fun that style.
Yeah, it is.
That technique.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because then it's like the floor drops out from under you.
Yeah. I mean, it just works so well. I think the reason that came so quickly is that Silence like that is such a brilliant, like one of the most exciting parts of the film.
Yeah. Because
your whole idea of how this is going to go completely gets kind of rewritten in front of you.
Right.
And only cinema can do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to kind of get that visual storytelling across.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm sure it's been attempted with like audio drama or
the books and stuff.
Yeah, with books, yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably a lot harder though to pull it off.
Yeah. Just be like, whoops, they were at 1408.
Well, even in cinema, 16. I feel like it's hard to pull off. You know, pull off as well as, you know, these two movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. Such good stuff.
Definitely.
And then I finally went and saw Oppenheimer.
Me too.
Finally.
Yes, it's nearing the end of its cinema run, which is going to feel very strange to not see it, you know, kind of underneath Barbie.
Right.
Every time you log on to any kind of cinema app, it's just been those two for the whole, like for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
So it's going to feel very strange when it does leave the cinema. It's done incredibly well, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, it has. Yeah, I had a blast. I mean, it kind of
no pun intended.
No, yeah. Yeah, it's like Nolan's style is so
Yeah.
insane.
I know.
He just seems like such like you watch this movie and you're like, how did you
Yeah.
how did you like was this I mean, I guess you keep track of it by writing things down,
Hmm.
but it just seems so ADD.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, but you can still follow it. It's like it feels like a ping pong ball inside of someone's brain at like 100 miles an hour.
I
Just
know.
like boom, 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 boom. Because like every scene, it just like starts intensity, 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 but it's all dialogue,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Hmm.
And the scenes just go so fast.
Yeah.
And it's like how did you film all of this? Like
Yeah.
it just seems like not only is it a 3-hour movie, but it's a 3-hour movie where every 3 minutes the scene changes or
Yeah.
less.
Yeah.
It's like so many setups. In terms of like, I'm looking at it like technically from a technical production standpoint, I'm like, holy crap. And then on top of that, how did you keep me interested for that long with people talking?
I know. Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, it's like, it just blows my mind. I think it, obviously it's a combination of things like, you know, like the dialogue being really good and the actors delivering the dialogue really well and the music being good. It's crazy that the music is just going and going and going and going. Like most movies, like music is in there, I would say like 40 to 50% of the movie. And this is like probably 95% of the movie just has a music going.
The sound design I think is going to be the main reason I go back to this movie a lot more. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's just, you know, it's the perfect way to tell a story, and using music to kind of to help tell that story. It never it never distracts from what's going on with the characters or the scene. It just adds the perfect amount of tension to everything.
Yeah.
And in the end, when it starts to really ramp up, you know, it's like, oh my God. It just turns those very mundane scenes into like action dramas. You know, you can't help but just be like, you know, the words are like punches. Like, oh, my man's going down.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, because like, I mean, it's such a different style, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is all of his movies are kind of like this, even the Batman movies, especially The Dark Knight Rises, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But
there's a constant ticking in a lot of films.
But I think obviously here he hit a stride that I think he hasn't hit necessarily in his other ones. I think this movie will add to his other movies because it works so well here. When you go back and watch his other movies, you'll appreciate them more. But yeah, I mean, it's like I don't know, man. Like he's a mad genius.
He is a mad genius. There's only one person working at the moment that could do a film like this and, you know, bring in the audiences that it has, and that is Nolan. I mean, just the storytelling aspect as well. You know, I know he loves like his timelines and kind of, you know, jumping all over the place with that. But again, it's just honed in to perfection. It works really well. None of the characters are really that likable, but you're still rooting for them.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't shy away and kind of, you know, you watch a lot of biopics and it tries to turn the main person into some kind of like, I don't know, Jesus-like figure, doesn't it? It's kind of like this guy was fighting the battle, no one but in this, it's like, you know, he was a genius, but he also had a lot of issues and a lot of like, he wasn't necessarily perfect,
Yeah.
which I liked a lot. And I think that there's a scene in it, and it was, I don't know if it's just because clouded by my current feelings, but do you know when the bomb goes off and Oppenheimer comes back into the camp and they're like celebrating, and they lift him up on their shoulders, and there's like the big American flag flying behind him. But as an audience member, I'm like, this is going to kill thousands and thousands of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's like a tinge of like, I don't know, disgust to it. It doesn't feel celebratory at all for the audience. You just feel a bit grossed out by it. And I think that's probably the best like shot in the film. Because it's hard to, when you're so used to connecting that kind of shot to like heroicism, to make you feel like the opposite way is incredibly hard to achieve. Yeah. And as an audience member, I was like, ew.
Yeah.
That's gross.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, it's good.
It's so
good,
and I
think that coming out with Barbie at the same time has just meant that it gone, catapulted it even higher with the double bills that people were doing. It's and I'm really glad.
Because it's a great double feature too, because it's like, because this is I feel like this is such a boys movie. Like this is such a, I mean, it's boys and their toys. Yeah. You know, and most of the cast is male. I'm not saying like, Oppenheimer, like, I'm not saying like root for one over the other. I'm just saying that it's really interesting. Yeah. The contrast between the two movies.
Definitely.
But they're both kind of progressive too, I think.
Yeah. And it just means that people are going to keep giving him more money to make independent, like not franchise movies.
Yeah. And also the great thing is that he's like been bringing 70mm back, and it did really well this time. I mean, you could not get a ticket.
No, I know. I can remember our conversation about it,
Yeah, I tried to go in Dallas when I was there, and I was like, okay, well, they have a 2:30 a.m. and a 6 a.m. show. Yeah. Both sold out.
Mad, isn't it? Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, dang. It'll be that. Have you seen that meme of like Willem Dafoe sitting in the front row on a 70mm screen, just like looking at. Let's get that one ticket. Although it did feel like that a little bit, because we went, we didn't go to IMAX, unfortunately, but we went to Studio Movie Grill and got like the second row. Yeah. But it wasn't exactly what I expected, because I've worked at Studio Movie Grill before, and so I kind of know what their theater layouts are for the most part. Yeah. And row 2 isn't usually too bad, and they have reclining seats, so you can lean back while you're looking up at the screen, which was fine. But their screen in that theater was just a little bit higher, so it was weird, because we weren't too close to the screen, but it was like really high. Yeah. It was very awkward.
That's strange.
But luckily it wasn't too bad after about 30 minutes. Kind of got used to it. And the sound in there was amazing. Yeah. Like, I don't know why. Some theaters you go to and their sound is really good, and some you go to and it's like not. And that really changes your experience. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. The sound, like I said, is the best thing, I think, about this. And there's a lot of great things about this. So yeah. Cillian Murphy, Oscar.
I think so. So.
Yeah.
He's
been around for a while.
He has, and Nolan's been championing him from day one, really. So be nice if there was like a celebration to that creative collaboration.
Yeah. So many actors and actresses in this.
I know. Florence Pugh is really great.
Yeah.
I like it. I wish that she seems to be kind of strong supporting characters at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I want, another big, meaty lead role for her.
Did you see Midsummer?
But I did see Midsummer.
Did we talk about it?
Good. I think so. It was about a year ago. It must have been around Halloween last year, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like...
Yeah, she's incredible. She
is, yeah. Part of this very exciting kind of new generation that are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fun. I like seeing what they do. Yeah. Can't wait to watch it again. Hopefully there's going to be a really nice 4K set of it.
Yeah.
To see that. So.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then the other film that I watched as we go seamlessly through was another film from 2023, which all of the films we watched from this year, which doesn't happen very often. But I watched You Hurt My Feelings, directed by Nicole Holofcener. That is butchered. It's Julia Louis-Dreyfus playing a novelist and then finds out that her husband doesn't really like the work that she's working on at the moment and kind of how she deals with that. I'd heard good things, just on like podcasts that I listened to saying that it was an enjoyable watch and seemed pretty family friendly for when I was, with my parents and stuff. So we decided to watch it. And it was only like 90 minutes, but it felt so much longer,
In a good way or bad way?
Bad. I don't know. I just didn't... It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know why I care about this.
Yeah.
And...
Kind of like when I'm at work.
Yeah. Exactly like that. You kind of... When people are, they're living... They try to paint it as if like, oh, they're not... they're all kind of going through a change in their life. But they still live in like a really nice apartment in New York, and they're still like, going out to dinner with friends and eating at nice restaurants and buying donuts for people. And I was just like, get over it. If he doesn't like your book, who cares? I don't care.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the main conflict. And talking about sound design, there was like just a piddly little kind of piano soundtrack that kept coming in that just did not feel right. It didn't really lend anything to it. There was like massive periods where I was like, where's the backing music for this scene? It just seemed a bit rushed and disjointed.
Yeah.
I didn't really like anyone in it.
David Cross is in it.
Yeah, he is.
How was he?
He was great. I mean, he's kind of not in it very much. I mean, if you remember, did you ever see Up in the Air with George Clooney?
I have not.
A few years ago.
But...
So he goes around and he kind of fires people from their jobs. And it shows kind of some interviews of him firing people. And there's people like Zach Galifianakis that are in it as someone being fired.
Uh-huh.
And it was used heavily. I remember it was like used heavily in the trailer, but he's not in it very much. David Cross is kind of like that. He's her husband's a therapist, and he's one of his like clients.
Okay, yeah.
So he's in it. I mean, he's in it more than I thought he was going to be in, because I think it starts with him. He's in a few scenes, but it's not like he doesn't.
It's not like he's a supporting.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah. So one to watch, one to miss, and I think it's on like Prime. I think it's just on streaming on Prime, probably one of the thingamabobs. But yeah, I wasn't that bothered. Won't watch it again.
Womp womp.
Yeah. But the other film that we did watch is going to be our feature presentation. Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992. The letterbox summary is "The blood is life." When Dracula leaves the captive Jonathan Harker and Transylvania for London in search of Mina Harker, the reincarnation of Dracula's long-dead wife, obsessed vampire hunter Dr. Van Helsing sets out to end the madness. Bum bum bum. So I had been wanting to watch this for a long time. I know that last year there was a lot of like talk around it because it was 30th anniversary, and I think it got re-released in cinemas for like a week, just like a special showing to be like, hey, it's 30.
Yeah.
And Keanu's, incredibly popular still. 30 years on, which is, John Wick 4 and stuff, which is crazy to me. So I thought that this would be the perfect opportunity to do it, and I know that you had seen it before.
Yeah.
Is it a film that you've watched a few times, or was it like
this was probably my third or fourth time.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you must like it.
I do. I mean, it gets better and better on each viewing.
Okay. Reassuring.
And I think, I think if I had been the same age and watched this when it came out in the 90s, I probably would not have liked it.
Yeah.
But, being the age I am now and everything, I think it's such a unique movie.
Yeah.
And there's so much 90s nostalgia in there mixed with old cinema nostalgia that it elevates the film quite a lot.
Yeah.
On top of like an incredible performance from Gary Oldman, who is always amazing and was also in Oppenheimer. And was amazing in Oppenheimer.
Apparently he only did a day on Oppenheimer.
That makes sense. The scene was quick.
Yeah. He said he flew in, did a day's work, and then left.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Probably didn't do a day on Dracula.
No. He said that every scene.
Yeah. Gary Oldman is he's so... He just becomes something else every movie he's in.
Yeah.
And where was I going? I think my opinion of the movie increases with every viewing. But even like I don't know. I feel like Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves were not the best choices.
Yeah. I agree with Keanu.
But now, in retrospective, it is kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fun now.
It does add to that 90s nostalgia.
Exactly.
It's like the most 90s cast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think it would have driven me crazy if I'm sure it drove people crazy.
Yeah.
Especially because everything else is... And not to say that Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves are bad actors. I just think that maybe they weren't the right choices. It made the film seem immature in areas and not taken seriously, where I feel like the rest of the movie is taken very seriously.
Yeah.
Even the jokey parts. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to...
This film is such a film of two halves for me.
Yeah.
There's things that I love that work incredibly well, and there's things that I really don't like.
Yeah.
It was a very backwards and forwards watch. Because there were scenes I was like, this is really cool. And then it was followed by something I was like, I don't like this at all.
Yeah.
It was a weird thing to me. So I'm glad that you said that it improves with like rewatches.
Yeah, because over time you're just like, those things that you hold on to that you don't like, or that you might still not like them, but you can kind of just like enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
And have fun with it. And I think that's what I do every time now, is like, because the jokey parts are pretty funny, the Texan with the big knife.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins gets funnier and funnier as he goes.
Yeah.
And I always forget that he's in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is like the fourth time I've watched it, and I've always forget that he's in it. I think because I'm stuck on Gary Oldman and Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder so much that like that's the movie for me. But like half of the movie is Anthony Hopkins. Like more than half. He narrates it. He's in the beginning scenes as like the old priest guy. Like, but you know, it is funny watching his kind of descent into madness as the movie goes on.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, the cast itself are really, really good. Like we said, like very, very 90s. I mean, there's like 4 really different levels to Dracula that Gary Oldman has to play.
Mm-hmm.
And he does them all differently. There's like, from the 15th century or whatever it was, there's the old guy in Transylvania, there's like the wolf one, and then the young guy around town.
Yeah.
He does them all really well. I just wish that we'd had more of the older Dracula. Because that is the best of all of them. When he kind of comes to England and changes, I was like, oh no. I miss old Dracula already.
Yeah.
His costume's so cool. Like, the look of him is awesome. Like, it just works so well.
Yeah. All of the freaking set design, costume, makeup, production design, the special effects shots were all perfect.
Yeah. And there's I don't think there's much, if any, CGI. I think it's all practical effects.
Yeah.
Which is great. And
even the beginning when they're doing like the old, the old war and stuff, it looked like it was all like silhouetted, and it looked really cool.
Well, there's a silent film called Prince Ahmed, and I think it's directed by a woman. I'll have to have a look of the name who directed it, and that is kind of all in silhouette. It's like shadow puppets.
Yeah, that's what it reminds you of. Yeah,
and it reminded me a lot of that. And then when he's young and he's with Winona Ryder and they're going through like the cinema exhibition thing, I'm sure they're showing it on one of the screens in the background. So I was like, it is. So that is definitely a reference to Prince Ahmed.
Yeah.
Which was cool. But then again, I don't know if that lines up, because that, I'm pretty sure, was 26. Like, if the full film was 26, I don't know if there was like any iteration before it. But I think that's after. The film takes place before that.
Yeah,
before
26. It's like 1890 something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. No one's really looking except you.
It's always that thing where I'm like, am I just overthinking it? And then it's later on, I was like, I'm
sure.
it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Because it's like, I mean, they didn't really have cinema exhibitions like that in 1897. They had like the little boxes that you could look in.
Yeah.
But they didn't have like theaters yet.
No.
Or they might have. Oh, I have to look.
I think there's a scene again, I'm quoting films as if they're historical documents, but in the Chaplin biopic, and he goes into like, it's like a shed, and there's like a sheet, and someone's projecting the film onto the sheet.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like I assume the early iterations of like the cinemas that we know today.
Yeah, because I mean, they would have been turning vaudeville type of houses. They would have just been putting up a sheet and a projector, but I don't know when projector technology came around.
Yeah,
I don't know if they had those yet.
Because I'm sure again that it starts like the exhibition of movies kind of gets its start during vaudeville performances. There would be like an act, and then a screen would come up, and they would show a film, and then it would go to like a singing person. It would be like incorporated into the show. Yeah. So, yeah, it wouldn't kind of be represented the way that it's represented in this film.
Probably not.
No. It almost lost me at it almost lost me at the very beginning of this film, when it was like Dracula was in love, and that's why he became Dracula. And I was like, I don't know if it's because of Star Wars, and he does turn a bit Emperor Palpatine in like the middle. But I'm just like, I don't need a backstory. I don't need like Dracula. To me, works best as this like I don't need to know who he is and where he came from. The fact that he's there is scary enough.
Right.
I don't need this backstory. And this is and I think that that's one of my main gripes is that it's like it's all for love, and I'm like, give me a break. I don't need that. I don't know if I'm a cynic, but that part I'm just like, ugh. I don't like it.
Crossed oceans of time to find you. That didn't make you wet.
Okay. It didn't. No. No, none of it. I don't like that part of it. I mean, when Mina was like, I think one of my notes is like, Mina is horny. Because
Wait,
she
what?
is. Like through.
Throughout the whole movie. Well, both of the women are. Mina and Lucy.
Yeah. And I was just like, okay, this is really...
They're even horny for each other.
Yeah.
Which is
bizarre.
Great, but it's like... Yeah. It's very much like a male gazy thing going on.
Adult entertainment.
Yeah.
For the men.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was still like, okay, it's really leaning into like the sexual aspects of Dracula and the fact that it is, you know, at its root, a very sexual thing.
Yeah. And
then it was like, no, he's actually in love with someone, and she's dead.
So, have you read the book?
I read it a long time ago, and I don't. Yeah. I could be mistaken, but I don't remember there being a backstory to him.
Yeah.
It's kind of, he's just evil.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
just this force.
I was talking to somebody recently, shout out to Kevin, who had read it, and he was talking, like, he liked the book a lot.
Yeah.
He was talking very highly of it and saying that Dracula isn't, like, he's not in the book a ton.
No.
Like, it's mostly about his presence.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really interesting.
Yeah. I went out and bought it again, actually, after watching this film. So I have it on my to-read shelf, yeah. Because I can remember, I think it's around the same time as I read, like, Frankenstein. So these very big books. And Frankenstein's in it a lot. Like, he narrates quite a lot of it. Or Frankenstein's creation, I should say. Not Frankenstein.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Dracula, you're right. It's kind of, it starts off with letters from Jonathan to Mina, telling, you know, his story and how weird it is and stuff like that. But yeah,
traveling back from Budapest.
But it's kind of people telling you things that are happening, and it doesn't necessarily be like, I think it was Dracula that did it, you know.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting read from what I remember.
Yeah, I would really like to read. I would really like to read all of those old school horror novels.
Audible, if you are an Audible subscriber, they have like free versions that I think it's narrated by like Tim Curry or something.
Oh, cool.
So if you wanted to listen to it, that's kind of, there's a lot of classics on there. That's how I've done some.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Just throwing it out there.
Well, the whole idea of like Dracula kind of not being a huge presence, or being like actually there, I feel like maybe Nosferatu is more like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I think he's only got like
better.
16 minutes of screen time or something.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So have you seen all of the Draculas at this point, all the big ones?
I was trying to think. So there's the 1931 one with Bela Lugosi. There's Nosferatu. There's the Christopher Lee one, which is pretty famous. And then, I know I'm forgetting. So then there's like obviously this one. This was one that I hadn't seen that I wanted to tick off, like I said.
Yeah.
I think I've seen Interview with the Vampire. I don't think I liked it very much. I'm just having a look through. I think for the most part, I've seen kind of like the ones people would expect you to see. I know that, you know, I asked Zach, actually, friend of the show, and he sent me a list of like 10 vampire-themed movies to kind of, for lack of a better phrase, get my teeth sunk into. So I'm going to be watching a lot of those in the coming weeks.
So what's the list?
Yeah, I'll read it out. Zach, you are here in spirit. So the ones that he recommended were... Let me find it. Okay. Werner Herzog's 1979 remake of Nosferatu.
Ooh.
Let the Right One In from 2008. Thirst from 2009, Korean film. Salem's Lot and Return to Salem's Lot, which I think I've seen because I think they were TV movies. The original Hammer Dracula from 1958 with Christopher Lee. Shadow of the Vampire, which is about the making of the original Nosferatu.
Okay.
Near Dark, Catherine Bigelow directed a vampire film called Near Dark. Only Lovers Left Alive. Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston's in that one.
Ooh.
And then Vampire's Kiss, which he said, your mileage may vary on this very campy Nick Cage performance. So, but I mean, yeah, a good wide variety. I mean, they've been, and then obviously there's Twilight, which I haven't seen.
Yeah.
And I won't see. But, you know, vampires are everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, specifically with Dracula and the movies you've seen that are about Dracula, you know, what's your favorite and where does this kind of land, you think?
It's weird because I think that obviously Nosferatu is up there. I think that's my favorite Dracula film. I think in terms of like representation of Dracula being scary, that's up there and hard to beat. But the early part of this, I would say, is there too.
Gray Oldman is creepy.
Yeah. And the choice to do the shadows that don't follow him around is really cool.
Yeah.
That I was like, I'm here for that. That rocks.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's up there, but the rest of the film, not too sure. The 1931's cool because it's like Hollywood horror. You know, it's very campy and it's short and just kind of shows, you know, evolution through to what we have today, which is awesome. But yeah, Nosferatu is hard to beat. What about you? I mean, which ones have you seen?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I know I've seen it, the 1931 film, Nosferatu, and this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think they're kind of maybe all on the same level. Because I'm not like...
Yeah.
You know, I do enjoy vampire movies and I enjoy Dracula, but I'm not like, it doesn't mean everything to me to the point that I'm like, this one's better and that one, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I enjoy all the different depictions of Dracula. I think they're all valid and have their own flavor to them. It just depends on what you're craving.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like for this one, they kind of, there's a lot of withholding. Like, I'm sure we don't see Dracula's fangs for like most of the movie.
Yeah.
You know, because by the time that he starts like sucking people's blood, he's turning into a werewolf.
Yeah. That part I didn't totally understand. Is that like part of the book?
I don't think so. Again, you know, it's
I
been
was
a while.
confused. I was like, is that him or who is this?
I don't think it's been, I mean, I can't remember it being in any other like incarnation of the story of him becoming this weird beast. I wonder if it's just add an extra level of like horror to it, you know.
I guess.
I don't know.
I found it very confusing. Even now, watching it for the fourth time, I'm like, so is this werewolf guy him?
Yeah. Yeah. There's some very weird choices in this. Like when he's in the coffin and it kind of shows him asleep, he's in like a weird cocoon.
Yeah. Well, I think that was like him supposed to be de-aging.
Oh.
I mean, I guess, because like as soon as he comes out of it, he's young.
Yeah. And looking
but
very
then he gets
handsome.
old again real easy. He just transforms real easy after that.
Yeah. That part doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, there's a few nods, isn't there? I mean, there's the part where he comes out of the coffin straight up, which is like Nosferatu. He like is like a trapdoor being lifted up.
Yeah.
which is awesome. I really liked the focus more on Mina in this one than like in other ones. Sometimes it's just she gets forgotten. She's just like there to be used as bait, really. Whereas this, she actually had like a lot to do. And when she's kind of alone with Van Helsing towards the end, and she's trying to fight him because she's been like, you know, brainwashed. They were really cool scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad that we didn't see too much of Keanu because he wasn't very good in this. Bless him.
It is the man himself. Look, he's grown young. Dude.
Is this the same year as Point Break?
I feel like it might be the year. Well, actually, it might be the same year, yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, man, two completely different, like, performances, really.
Yeah. Sarah and I always quote when he's like, we're traveling back from Budapest. Just like the way that he says that. It's like, I'm guessing he had like a coach, a dialogue coach or something that was like, no, you say it like this.
All the accents are really weird, though.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's fun. Like, you can just have fun watching it now at this point.
Yes, I think so. I think once, yeah. I think Anthony Hopkins' accent's really weird. Winona Ryder is kind of the only one that sticks to her accent, I feel like, the whole way through.
Yeah.
Hers is pretty consistent. But when Van Helsing shows up, it's very Exorcist. He's like standing in front of the house in the fog, and the lights on in the window, which I was like, that's cool. It's a cool little nod to, like, you know, modern horror films.
Mm-hmm. I liked the scenes with Lucy when they're going to her coffin.
Yeah.
And they're opening it up, and then she's not in there, and then she's like walking down the stairs with the child. Like, that part was so freaky.
Yeah. Like I said, there's so much cool imagery in this. You can tell it's like a director that's made some pretty impressive films before. Yeah. There's also the creepiest scene is when Dracula's crawling on the walls.
Right?
When he's like sucked the razor, and then he's like outside the window, like crawling around like a spider. That is terrifying.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all. But the set design's really cool as well.
Yeah.
Like the beginning when Hawk is on the train, and like the background is kind of, you can tell it's like models.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yeah.
It's really,
It's all designed really well. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
Makes you nostalgic for the old cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And then the old school transitions too.
Yeah.
Like taking an image and superimposing it on another one and transitioning. Is really fun.
Yeah.
Like the filmmaking is just top notch.
It's incredible. I mean, it's not, I haven't got any issues with the filmmaking at all. I think the direction is all perfect. I think it's just the romanticism of it. And I wonder if that's probably just like it's of its time, where maybe, I don't know, maybe there was a lot more kind of all you need is love in the air. So people were making films like this where these backstories were needed.
Yeah.
I mean, it did really well at the box office. It cost $40 million to make. And then it became one of the biggest movies in 1992, earning $250 million worldwide.
Wow.
The ninth highest grossing film in 1992. Which is, I mean, great. Really good. But when you've got a cast like this, you kind of expect it.
Yeah, I think so.
So, it's a good year, 1992, looking at that list.
Yeah. Oh, Tom Waits was Renfield. Oh, I was getting him confused with someone else. But he is really good in the movie.
Mm-hmm. I really like Richard E. Grant.
Yeah.
I think that he his scenes are, they could be like incredibly mundane and pretty boring, but because it's him, it's elevated a little bit.
Yeah.
My favorite scene is when he's calling Van Helsing to look at, I think, is it Lucy? And they're talking a lot about what needs to be done and kind of what they need to do, and then the American like drop kicks the door and comes in with like a machete. And I just thought it was like the funniest thing because he's so brash and loud while they're just discussing kind of medicine.
Yeah.
And he's just like, we're going to kill it.
Is that the Texan that comes in?
It is the Texan. Yeah.
Yeah. And Carrie Elwes was also really great. All the supporting cast was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Sadie Frost as Lucy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a shame that, some of it just doesn't stick.
Yeah. But it's such a place and time,
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like we said, it's a very 90s version of this story,
Yeah.
I could have done with a bit more. I think the thing with Dracula that always kind of attracts me is the kind of similarities between Jesus and like the Christianity aspect to it. Like Jesus, his disciples drank the blood of Jesus, right?
Right.
And Dracula is drinking the blood of people. And it's very I love that dichotomy between the two. I love seeing, that kind of being explored. And then at the end of this, it was like, where is my God? And it, like, what? I know that you renounced God and became Dracula, but I want to see more of that. I want to know, that should have been the backstory.
Yeah.
We should have lent into that, not the love side.
Yeah.
Because for me, that would have been more interesting. I'm just not interested in the love story at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting point. But, if you are interested in the love story, this is your version.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to know what made a man want to suck people's blood for hundreds of years, it was a woman.
Yeah. Yeah, the ending, like, I'm not really satisfied with the ending.
No.
It just ends. And it just seemed like it was building up to something, and then it just is like, it just goes by.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah, there's not even like a good fight at the end. He just arrives at the castle and then gets killed.
Yeah. I don't necessarily need even a fight, really, but for all of the poetic nature of the movie, it just seemed anti-poetic at the end. It ends with the, showing, like, it is poetic in terms of, like, what they were trying to do, I think, with them, Dracula dying in the same spot that his wife did, and then Mina is there, and then the shot goes up and you see the painting of the two of them, but it didn't feel like it wasn't edited right or something.
Yeah.
Like the pacing didn't hold long enough. I think it I don't know. It didn't stick it quite the way that I expected it to.
No. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And also, I just don't understand it completely in terms of the lore. Like, because there's the wolf stuff I didn't get, but then at the end it's like, wait, so what's going on with the blood, and then his like body changes quickly and back to normal Gary, and like I didn't understand. Like I want to know why this is happening and what it means.
Yeah, sometimes it's probably just for it to look different,
I guess,
and a visual representation that he's changing.
That he's gonna be able to go to heaven now or something. Like,
well, yeah, because does he see God at the end? Is that what we're supposed like? Is that what we're supposed to like? God's like, it's okay, I'm here. You can come with me now.
I guess
we're even. Yeah, not a super great ending.
Yeah,
And the kind of hodgepodge of getting all the characters together, to kind of trace after him is a little bit. It doesn't quite work. Would that happen? I don't know. Would any of this happen?
Did it happen? Based on a true story.
What you're about to see is based on a true story.
May or may not have happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's much more that I want to say about this. I mean, I liked the scenes in the mental institution. I thought that was really atmospheric. And
and the guy's like, "You'll be safe here."
Yeah. Reminded me a lot of like Caligari and 12 Monkeys, which we talked about last week.
Yeah.
A kind of weird environment. There was there was a really funny scene where right at the beginning where Mina and Jonathan Harker are in like her garden, and she like pulls him aside and they kiss and stuff. And then in front of the camera is like a peacock like plumage, and it kind of like stands out. And I was like, to me, that just looks like this peacock is watching them from in front of the camera and is getting really turned on. It's like, oh my god.
Oh my god, here we go.
I think it's
my
only
favorite part of the day.
Yeah, I'm so glad I decided to sit here today. If you go back and watch it, it feels very like, I know why they're doing it. It's like, oh, we're covering up the camera so you don't see really anything, keep the dignity. But it does look very strange when you know that it's a peacock that's standing in front, like putting its plumage out.
That is pretty great. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, but if if that was done, like if Coppola was aware of that, I wouldn't be surprised. Because I feel like so much of this movie is also being like, this is all kind of silly though.
Yeah.
Winking at the camera and being like, it's kind of funny and kind of silly though, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And then it kind of, because at first I was like, is this going to be another version where the sex is kind of unsaid, where it's just implied a lot? And then the next scene is her looking through like a Kama Sutra book.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, I guess not. I don't know why that peacock was there.
Yeah.
Why do we need to be shielded from it? I will give
the peacock turns into a transition.
Yeah.
That was part of the reason.
Yeah. But it's just a peacock getting turned on. I will give it credit because the first note I wrote down when I watched it was like, we've seen this story so many times. Are they going to do anything new and original to it? And they do.
Yeah.
Which is good. I mean, they're trying something different. It doesn't work, I don't think. But yeah, they seem to be trying something different, which is nice. I'm just going through to have a look if there's anything.
Yeah, I did want to bring up that when Dracula first gets in London and he's like walking around town and it looks like old camera footage.
Yeah,
it is old camera footage.
Okay, cool.
I can't remember. I'm trying to figure out what camera was used, but it was like an old original like silent film camera.
That's cool.
That they used to shoot those scenes of Gary Oldman walking around.
Nice. That's awesome. So it's not like stock footage. It was actually them using...
using a really old camera, yeah.
Wow. That's really cool. I like that. And it won Oscars for costume design, best sound editing, and makeup.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that's pretty
accurate.
Pretty spot on. Yeah. Well, this is the part of the show where Brandon and I guess what the other person has rated it on Letterboxd. We purposefully don't put our ratings on when we log the film so that we can kind of add a little bit of spice to the end of each show. So yeah, Brandon, let's guess.
Let's do it. I'm going to say you rated it 3 out of 5.
Cool. I'm going to say you rated it 3.5 out of 5.
Yes.
Also, yes.
Nice. We're just getting good at this.
Yeah, I know. It's too.
Yeah.
It went up.
It went up half a star for me.
Okay, cool.
It might keep going up. It's a fun time.
Yeah. Yeah, mine was, I think my first reaction was like 3.5. But I think because I watched it like a week ago or so, and it was like, it's just diminished as time's gone on. Like, the more I've thought about it, the more I've been like, the things I liked weren't enough to override the things I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, there's still the big things I don't like kind of depreciate it a lot, you know. So, but oh well. I'm glad I've seen it. It's maybe just suffered from the fact that I was so hyped for it as well. I've been waiting like a year to see it. So,
yeah.
Can't live up to those expectations.
Yeah.
What are we going to be watching next week, my friend?
I decided to change it up a little bit. Keep it spooky, keep it fun.
Yeah.
We're going to watch Shaun of the Dead.
Ooh, I like it. Nice.
Which I've seen a few times, but it's been a really long time, and I would like to kind of break it down and have some fun.
Nice.
Talking about it.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to that. Love Shaun of the Dead. So that brings us to the end of the show. You can find the show on Twitter and Instagram at Film Church Radio, and you can follow us individually on Letterboxd. Brandon is at Selman Scope, and I'm at Walker Lewis 3007. To keep up with what we've been watching, we also have all our back episodes streaming on all good podcast platforms. Please leave us a rating and review so we know if you like the film, if you didn't know what you picked for us to watch in the future. Thank you so much for being here. We hope to see you next Sunday for more Film Church Radio. The only thing left to say is, how did Lucy die? Was she in great pain?
Yeah, she was in great pain, and then we cut off her head and drove a stake through her heart and burned it, and then she found peace.
Amen to that.
Amen.